Hi guys, how you doing? Hope you're well. Just, you can probably see this isn't my usual steed. The GS has gone in for its second service. It's had the first 600 mile. This is the sort of year-old service. I've just dropped that off, and Bmw Motorrad in Norwich have very kindly lent me the S1000Xr. Just to get myself back home again, so I can pick it up a little bit later. And I thought I'll take the opportunity, not to do a review really, because I wouldn't say I'm qualified enough to do that, but just to give you some comparisons against the GS Adventure, the bike that I currently have, which is the 2016 GSA, about the riding feel and experience. So I thought it might be useful just to give you an idea as far as the feel of the bike is concerned, the looks of the bike, and its performance, and kind of what I do and don't like about it really. But initially the looks of the bike, which is the reason I asked to take the XR out rather than I quite like the R9T. They did have one available, but you know, this is a credible replacement for the GS. When that comes round, there's many things I absolutely love about the GS, and there were a few niggles, well I thought were niggles, until I've taken the XR out. So just to give you a bit of background, I ended up on the GS. I've always had sports bikes, had a big break from biking, came back and bought myself a MT 09, which was a great bike, really good. And perfect for getting back in, a real confidence builder. And then decided that actually I like the idea of a no maintenance, chain driven, shaft drive driven adventure style bike. To sort of to take me to the next level really. So I went with the GS and I've been very happy with it, very happy indeed. One of the things I struggle with on the GS is because the engine is so torquey, it feels a little bit agricultural, and from someone that's always had sports bikes, you know, that high revving, keep me on the boil feel was something I miss a little bit. So I thought this potentially was a crossover for the two. You know, it's the upright seating position, which I must say is very similar to the GS. However, the foot pegs are much higher. Now I'm 5'11", almost dead on, and obviously I'm used to the GS now, but this feels like my legs are tucked up, and I'm fairly confident I'd have knee ache after a little while. I'd have to do something about that. As far as seating's concerned as well, just for comfort, the seat is much harder. It's less forgiving, and it pushes you into the tank. I don't know whether there's adjustment on it, but it certainly feels like that anyway. As far as the actual ride is concerned, what can I say? Aside from the seating position, it rides like a brutal sports bike. Really free revving, wants you to keep me on the boil. I'm in 6th at the moment, doing just a tad over 30. And it feels like with a very small twist it would rip your face off. And that's, oddly, that's one of the things I don't like about it. The GS feels like you could ride comfortably for many just to literally squeeze it and off you go. Yeah, it's not even there yet, now it's wanting to go. So you literally squeeze it and off you go. But the GS feels like you could ride really comfortably or ride sedately for a long time without feeling like you know, that sports bike of come on, let's go faster, more. And that's one of the things that kind of steered me away from having another sports bike. That being said, the brakes are very good. This has got obviously the standard suspension setup, the upside down forks setup, where the GS has got the telelever idea, which so it's funny how quickly you get used to that no diving when you hit the brakes, just that very gentle, you know, squatting almost sensation. So that's something I'm sure I'd get used to. Also, as far as comfort is concerned, this is set to dynamic, and the ESA is set to Ron Rider Sports, and it's way too harsh. Really, really harsh, like proper bobbly. You can probably hear it in my voice. Every lump I go over gives you a jolt and a jerk. Again, that's something that doesn't exist on the GS, and maybe it's just because of age, but yeah, that's not something I'm particularly enjoying. Other things that I particularly like are the heated grips. Heated grips, I would imagine, are the same as the GS, but these ones on this demo model are shocking. It's not particularly cold today, but the hand guards, I think they look like the same as the GS, but for some reason my backs and my hands are cold. The screen is manual adjustment. You sort of physically pull it up or push it down. Now I had it in the up position. I've got the Schuberth E1 Adventure helmet, and it creates a vortex here, which with the peak makes your head do that a lot. So what I've done is I've actually pushed it all the way down, so I'm pretty much unfared, if you like, and it's much better, but obviously you get the wind noise coming at you from the lack of protection. One of the other things I noticed looking down is how skinny the bike is compared to the GS, and that's something I do like. I think the GS is it's a big bike, and being a big bike takes a lot of manoeuvring in order to sort of you know, move it around on your garage or get it in your drive or whatever, or up on its centre stand. But so that's one thing I do like about this. And just an observation, something you probably wouldn't know unless you were in it. The actual foot pegs for the bike seem really tucked in on the machine. I can't explain it really, but I'm finding that my feet are kind of doing that rather than sitting like that. So on the GS, to relax, I just literally pull my foot back and rest the ball of my foot on the footrest, and that takes all the pressure off your heels. Where on this, I'm finding my legs are actually sitting out sort of at an angle, so I wouldn't say 45 degrees, but probably not far off. And in order to get them back on, you're moving your foot over to the, and again, I'm sure that's what you get used to. I'm not wearing adventure boots, I'm just wearing some, you know, silly vertebra Gore-Tex. They're not particularly, you know, massive. One thing I will say is the quick shifter on this. My GS has got the quick shifter and the auto blipper, and it's very good if you're nailed open or it's closed shut. This is butter, and like butter is just completely different feel, obviously to do with the setup of the gearbox and the engine layout, but it is absolutely as smooth as silk, up and down, no problem at all. The blipper's fantastic, you get a really lovely pop on the back of it, and coming up you barely feel it, where if you hit the GS wrong, and I've kind of got I'm now at the point now where I know where all the sweet spots are. So it's rare that you get a jolt, but on the GS, in the beginning certainly it felt like you were, you know, banging your backs and forwards, and you were kind of hanging onto the bars to stop it thrown off. So yeah, so that's my initial impressions. I'll just find in a sec. I'll just find somewhere to stop, and I'll let you have a look around it. Like I say, these I don't mind the looks. I just don't, and it's horses for courses, you know. I went to a bike night a little while ago, one local to me, which is very well supported, which is the old Buckingham bike night. And there was probably 300 or 400 bikes there, and it's quite funny. The GS gets lots of attention, you know, lots of people come over, and then you get a real mixed bag of people saying, well, actually, you know, I can see the point behind it, but I just think it's absolutely ugly. It just looks too agricultural. It's not sexy. Whereas I think personally, it's probably one of the sexiest bikes out there. I think it looks aggressive and it feels aggressive, and it rides really comfortably, and it doesn't push you, or it doesn't feel like it's keep, you know, jabbing you in the ribs. Come on, bit more. But I can feel that doing now, and I'm purposely sort of going along snail-like, only because obviously with the screen, the wind, the Schuberth is really good. It's a cracking helmet, but it's, you know, in a basically an unfared bike. The wind just gets a bit noisy with the peak on it. But as soon as I can stop, I'll let you have a look round it, and see if I can show you what I mean with regards to the foot pegs. But until then, just enjoy the ride. Oh, here I do. Okay guys, well as promised, I've managed to find somewhere to stop. So you see what I mean about the looks of the bike. It is a stunning looking machine. I quite like the adventure beak on it, but it is very, you know, it's much sportier as you can exhaust, so it's got a really nice blip to it. It's got the LED indicators. The screen, as you can see, this is like this manual adjustment. You can't do it on the fly, which I'm not over keen on, because obviously weather conditions change. This LED running strip I think is really nice and really sets the bike off, along with the gold forks. I think that's a really nice combo with the colour of the bike. And then so to see if you can hear the exhaust, yeah, it's got that real rasp to it, which is lovely. The instrument cluster seems to be taken straight out the S1000 range, the S1000, the S1000Xr and R, and it's easy enough to read. There's no issues. I prefer the GS one. I'm a bit biased, I suppose, because I own one, but I thought potentially this could be a good replacement, only because one of the things with the GS is it's so big and cumbersome that when you come to move it around, like I say, it's just, you know, to go out for a quick ride takes a bit of effort. But with the foot pegs, see, your kind of leg goes here, which forces your foot to sit round. I can't really explain, but once you're sat on it, it's just not very comfortable for whatever reason. And that would be a definite, sort of a definite. Well, I'd have to fix it if I went for something like this. Obviously, it's chain driven, which the whole maintenance thing just does my head in. But yeah, so that gives you a quick look round it, and like I say, you know, good looking machine, but I just don't think for me it's very, yeah, just really brutal. But one thing I didn't mention on the instrument cluster is this light, which basically, and that kind of goes to tell you a little bit about the style of the bike, is if you're giving it the beans, obviously you're watching where you're going, not what your instruments are doing. When it's coming up to the end of its rev range, it blinks at you extremely brightly, to remind you that you need to change gear. So, and that's straight out of, so I think the S1000Xr, that's when you're all tucked in. So, no, good points. I think the looks are stunning. Riding position, easy on the back, not too bad at all. Bad points, I think, is general riding comfort. It's got a very aggressive sports bike feel, and the chain at the moment, and this weird foot peg position would be a deal breaker for me. So, well, look, you know, I know mega bias, and I know people out there go, "Oh no, you're mental. It's a much better bike than the GS." You know, it's more pleasurable to ride, but that's the beauty of biking, is it's so individual, it's so unique, we're all really different, and one man's meat is another man's, oh, why didn't you just wait, one man's meat is another man's gravy, as they say. You didn't really give me much choice, did you? I know I stalled it. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully that gave you a feel of what the bike was like. So plus points for me is looks, riding position, because it's similar to the GS, and bad points for me is just the sheer aggressiveness of the bike. It's really, it feels much twitchier than the GS. It's much less forgiving, and that weird foot peg position is something I'll have to deal with, and obviously the maintenance for the chain. So look, take it out what you will. I hope you enjoyed the my thoughts of it. Like I say, not a review because I'm not qualified to give one, but it will certainly give you an idea of you know, initial impressions and what it's like. And I've just noticed actually it's quite tall. I'm on tiptoes. Maybe that's the suspension settings where I flat foot on the GS. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, much appreciated. I'd really love it if you could subscribe and give us a like, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon. Thank you.